It's that one.
What?
That one there, on your arm.
Oh, well, it's a tattoo. I got that removed.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Mother. What is it?
Mr. Hooper, that's the USS Indianapolis.
You were on the Indianapolis?
What happened?
Japanese submarine slammed 2 torpedoes into our side, Chief. He was coming back from the island of Tinian to Lady, just delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. 1,100 men went into the water. The vessel went down in 12 minutes. Didn't see the first shark for about half an hour. Tiger, 13-footer. You know that when you're in the water, Chief? You tell by looking from the dorsal to the tail. What we didn't know was our bomb mission had been so secret, no distress signal had been sent. They didn't even list us overdue for a week. Very first light, Chief. Sharks come cruising. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. It's kind of like old squares in a battle, like you see in a calendar, like the Battle of Waterloo. And the idea was, shark comes to the nearest man, that man he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark would go away. Sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you, and those black eyes roll over white, and then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and in spite of all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in, they rip you to pieces. By the end of that first dawn, lost 100 men. I don't know how many sharks, maybe 1,000. I don't know how many men, they average 6 an hour. On Thursday morning, Chief, I bumped into a friend of mine, Herbie Robinson from Cleveland. Baseball player, bosun's mate. I thought he was asleep. Reached over to wake him up. Bobbed up and down in the water. It was like a kind of top. Upended. Well, he'd been bitten in half below the waist. Noon the 5th day, Mr. Hooper, Lockheed Ventura saw us. He swung in low and he saw us too. A young pilot, a lot younger than Mr. Hooper anyway. He saw us and he come in low, and 3 hours later, a big fat PBY comes down and started to pick us up. That was the time I was most frightened, waiting for my turn. I'll never put on a life jacket again. So 1,100 men went in the war. 316 men come out. The sharks took the rest June the 29th, 1945. Anyway, we delivered the bomb.
I had visited the Indianapolis when I was a little kid. It was the first Navy ship that I'd walked on board.
I went on in 1942, and I was on there until 1945 when the ship was sunk.
I was a fire controlman, a rangefinder operator. I had a battle station that gave me a ringside seat to the whole war.
I was a Marine guard that guarded the components of the 2 atomic bombs, a fat man and a little boy.
I had the 8 to midnight watch in Damage Control Central.
I had just got off watch at midnight, and I went back aft and laid down because it was hot down below and everything.
I got off a watch at 12. I go down to the Marine compartment and I got my blanket. I didn't get my K-Pock life jacket, I don't need that. But on the night of July the 30th, just about 14 minutes past midnight, code red, stand by, fire! And every 2 seconds he fires a torpedo. He fires 6 torpedoes.
I looked up, and there in the forward 2 doors into the wardroom were these great swirling caterpillars of flame that came in.
And I jumped up. I was in my skivvies, and I just jumped up and put my pants and shirt on and was carrying my shoes. And then the second torpedo hit. So I stood there for just a few more minutes, and then the ship started to go over on the starboard side. So I slid from the port side over to on the starboard side and hit a hatch and tumbled off into the water, and that's where I wound up, was in the oil.
I'm hanging onto that rail, looking off into the blackness of the night, and literally thinking, this is the end of life.
I was scared to death because I knew we'd several thousand miles away from home. We didn't have a ride, and didn't have any food, didn't have nothing. What was we gonna do? And all of a sudden, I remember something my mother told me. She said, I wish I could go for you. We know I can't. I wish I could go with you. We know I can't, but you know who can. I said, yes, Jesus. I just said a little short prayer. Lord, help me.
Stupid me, I didn't have my life jacket. From 12 o'clock to about 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, I was just out there swimming by myself.
The better question would be, were sharks around us? And yes, they were all around us all the time. You didn't dare get off that net and swim out 20 or 30 feet. If you did, you was gone.
The sharks that swim up, you'd watch them, you could see the fins coming and you could watch them, and they get up too close to you like that and you'd reach out and kick them real quick.
Keep together, don't drink the water.
A lot of them would swim away from the group too, because they were drinking the water and they were going crazy, and they said, see a ship out here, there's land out here. And they would take their life jackets off and start swimming out away from the group. And as soon as they get out about 10 or 15 feet, well, then bang, a shark would take them.
The worst part of it, a certain number of people decided to go around and everybody had to die, and they went around starting to drown each other.
He went over us and come back whacking his wings. That's when they did that. The prettiest airplane I ever saw.
And they saw heads bobbing up and down. Of course, we were waving and splashing around everything.
Finally, he set that big goose down, and he runs the swells, and well, he picked up 56 boys.
I was rammed by the plane before the guy picked me up and threw me over his head into the plane.
We got over to the mast. The guy asked me, everybody says, how many of you can stand up, climb that rope ladder up to the deck? I said, I can, man. I stood up. The next thing I knew, I was in a litter up on the deck already where they'd hauled me up on hoist.
And of course, all the groups suffered badly. We figured we had somewhere around 880 maybe in the water, and they only picked up 317.
Take a turn. Hooper drives the boat, Chief. Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chunk some of this shit.